The second demonstrator has been executed as Iran carries out public executions in the wake of nationwide anti-government protests. Those protests follow the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died after being arrested by the country's morality police. At least 20 more people are currently facing execution as those protests enter their fourth month. Assistant Professor of Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Texas at Austin, Nahid Siamdoust, joins me now for more on this. Nahid, thank you so much for being here. Despite
Thank you for having me.
In some cases gruesome, these public executions, these protests are still going on across the country. So what does this mean for Iran right now and the people there?
That's right. The protests are falling, and not least the executions themselves are actually spurring on further protests because, the number of people who've been killed in these protests, over 400, and the number of people who are still in prison, 14,000, and those at risk of death and execution, those are actually bringing more people into the streets, fighting for their rights and asking for their release, and also just, expressing their complete sort of condemnation, the people's condemnation of these executions, which, the first one who was executed, Mohsen Shekari, was based on the judge's order, executed for having burned a garbage can and having blocked the street.
Now, this all started, all these protests, with the death of Mahsa Amini after being arrested by the morality police. So can you take a step back and explain what the morality police is in Iran, and how significant is it that there are reports now that the morality police has been disbanded or suspended?
Right. So the morality police was formed a few years after the revolution. And initially, it was really not much of a systematic force. It was committees and bands that would go around and, arrest women and apprehend women and give them certain punishment, whether it was fines or even lashings for not wearing the hijab properly. Eventually, with time, we've had 43 years of the Islamic Republic. Now it became more systematic, and the force was put under the auspices of the police. And so more recently, this past year, the morality police became a whole lot more active because Ebrahim Raisi, the new president of Iran, is more conservative, and he vowed to bring morality back to the streets, not least because over the last few years, Iranian women have actually pushed against the hijab and on their own accord, and what you would call a non-movement on a daily basis, just started sort of loosening the hijab. And so what you would see on the streets was not so much of a sort of strict adherence to the hijab, which Iranian women have been fighting for. And so with Raisi and his promise to bring greater morality to the streets, these women were apprehended, and then Mahsa Amini, as we know, over 3 months ago, was killed. And then more recently, we had this, statement from the prosecutor general that the morality police had been disbanded. I think we need to really approach that very cautiously, because right after he made that statement, it sort of haphazardly in the middle of a press conference, it wasn't an intentional statement by the Iranian government. Other officials and he himself came forward to say, we will still police and regulate women's hijab on the streets. So it really remains to be seen what really happens to the force.
It sure does. Nahid Siamdoust, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.